Well, yes, as that picture has shown, we have Mr. Abba Aliyu joining us now. He's the Managing Director, Rural Electrification Agency. But just before we go to him, we've seen the news scrolling at the bottom of your TV screen announcing the death of the Olubadan, Oba Olakuleyin, who's died at the age of 90. Olakuleyin, a family source who confirmed to Channels Television, noted that the monarch died in the early hours of Monday. His death comes at the peak of celebrations for his 90th birthday and first anniversary of his reign as the Olubadan of Ibadan land. The late Olakuleyin was installed as the 43rd Olubadan on the 14th of June 2024 after succeeding Oba Lekan Balogun. We certainly will be tracking events for you as they unfold in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. But now to our guest who is in the studio right here. The last time you spoke, you said you had quite a pretty big ambition. You want to be able to give 25 million Nigerians electricity in a period of 3 years. And I think this will include rural and peri-urban the members of the country. How far have you gone on this particular plan?
Thank you very much for having me. Yes, so we had already started implementation of our plans. The previous time I was here, I told you of the landmark project, the distributed access through renewable energy scale-up. We have already signed grant agreements with 8 companies, and we have about 100 companies now lined up to be signed. Total projects of sites of over 500 sites. So that had already started. The completion of the Nigeria Electrification project, we have close to 70 projects that we have completed. We also have started the process of the interconnected mini-grid, 42 of them, which are very critical to create reliability for peri-urban areas and also connecting our mini-grid with the national grid. So that also have started 42 of them with 7 distribution companies. We are also working with...
In which areas? Do you want to elaborate on the areas where this is happening?
Yes, so different states, the 42 are different states. The 7 distribution companies is all the distribution companies excluding Kaduna Electric, Jos Electric, and the Enugu, I think, Disco. These are the 3 that are not part of our current plan. But in all others, distribution have provided us with the sites. In fact, a whopping 650 sites were given to us by the distribution companies, where we select 42 firsts in the first instance to start. And we are now working against additional 30 more sites. We completed the intervention in different universities. Now we are targeting close to 1 million students. We completed the phase 2, where we delivered 7 universities and 2 teaching hospitals. We are about to complete 8 more universities. Just 10% of the work that is just what is pending. And
they're all included amongst the 25 million Nigerians you're targeting.
So even the university, we are not even counting the 25 million. For the universities, it's a special intervention to enhance, to create reliability of electricity at the universities level. For the 25 million, all these are mini grids that will provide to communities. For example, I have 45 mini grids now in Nasarawa State that I'm about to commission. I have 20-something mini grids in Plateau State that are about to be commissioned. Like I told you, we signed the 8th agreement that we signed has over 200 sites, mini grids that are to be delivered. And very soon, in next week or week after next, we are going to sign additional over 100 companies, which has over 500 mini grids. This is how ambitious we are, churning mini grids day in, day out. The target is to deliver over 1,350. In fact, what we are seeing now is that we may deliver even before the end of the 3 years, before the 3 years target, due to the traction that we have seen from the private sector, due to the number of sites that have been provided, and also like we create some level of efficiency by reducing the project development timeline of the private sector. So before now, once we sign the grant agreement, the private sector has to spend like 6 months up to a year looking for project development financing. But to shorten that period of time now, we already catalyze private sector investment with a number of Nigerian banks. We signed 100 billion naira project development financing, debt financing with FCMB, and we are in discussion with Fidelity. International Finance Corporation also had provided $20 million as well for the 4 of our developers. So you can see how we are creating more efficiency, reducing the timeline for us to deliver on our target.
Let me quickly take you up on the issue of affordability. You have said that this electricity plans must be cost reflective. And I wonder what that will mean for rural people, because the name of your mandate, even though some people have been saying it needs to change, for now it's still rural electrification, unless we want to change the R to renewable energy. But having in mind that you are still the rural electrification, and you're working right now to include a number of rural people, a significant portion of rural people on the grid to make sure that they have electricity, cost is at the heart of the matter. What does that mean for you?
Yeah, so that is the essence of the federal government intervention. Our funding, the grants the capital grant that we provide to the private sector is to de-risk the entire infrastructure deployment, which by extension has implication on the tariff cost, because tariff is a function of the total cost of the project. So by intervening, providing grant to the private sector, one, you are incentivizing them to go to rural areas which ab initio they may not feel they would want to go. That is one. Two, you are also reducing the total cost of the deployment of that infrastructure, thereby reducing the tariff. If you look at our numbers, we have close to 95% of collection, more than what is obtainable on the on-grid, which means that the people we are serving are paying for this electricity, which also has relationship with the affordability. In as much as their consumption is very low, but the little we are providing, it's being paid by the tariff that is very low, but the little we are providing, it's being paid by the tariff that it's mutually agreed. The ability for us, or the thinking that affordability, it's not something that is real in the rural areas. To us, it's just a cliche. Rural areas pay for electricity, and what we deploy to them, it's very affordable.
All right, let me go to Ayo now. Over to you.
Thank you, Mokwe. One question to follow up quickly on the issue you just raised, Mokwe, about affordability is that of sustainability. Now that the issue of access has been taken care of, according to you, Mr. Aliyu, and you have also spoken to the fact that it is affordable to the people. The question then is sustainability. Now there are questions around how much electricity Nigeria generates, and the much touted fact that Nigeria does not produce enough electricity for its people. Maybe you want to quickly speak to that now as to what's been the improvement from the time you took over up until this moment, and then what is the sustainability strategy to be sure that there is a sustainable scaling up until we get to a point where we never have a power outage again, and if ever that is possible.
Yeah, so I will start with the sustainability. We oftentimes make it very clear that the strategy of Rural Electrification Agency is to build our sustainability around the private sector. One of the key things REA is doing is moving away from contract as a contract issuing company, but as a financial institution that catalyzes infrastructure investment around the private sector. So what we do for the sustainability of our project is to make sure that the infrastructure that is deployed is by a private sector, and that private sector must bring their own funding plus our own capital grant to deploy the infrastructure. By this, it means that the private sector must manage that infrastructure over a very long period of time for them to recoup their investment, be it a debt or equity, and also get some level of internal rate of return, thereby ensuring the sustainability of that infrastructure. So that is one. But for the EPC-based infrastructure, like the ones we deployed at the university, for those projects that we only engage the private sector to deploy the infrastructure. For them, we created the Renewable Asset Management Company, which is a government ERA SPV that it's responsible for managing this infrastructure. So the wisdom behind that is to create a way whereby we will catalyze even more private sector funding to continue to deploy this infrastructure to address the energy access gap. I give you an example. The total cost based on the estimates that is required for the country to address the excess challenge, its access gap is about $25 billion US. And this is not a money that the federal government has. So we are now saying that let's use all our means to catalyze private sector financing to continue to address this gap, which include going to the capital market, raising private capital, and use that private capital to deploy the infrastructure. So the Renewable Asset Management Company will leverage on the assets that we already created, this university project, use it on its own balance sheet and use the income and the asset to raise more funding that we will now use to continue to deploy infrastructure to address the gap. Then the second part of your question in terms of the scaling up, already this is what we are witnessing. Before my assumption, what we have seen, it's deployment of mini-grid in hundreds, but now we are talking of deployment of mini-grid in thousands. We have seen initially we have the renewable energy service companies that are intense. Now we have over 100 renewable energy service companies, some of them not only intervening in Nigeria, some of them have even developed technical competency to intervene, deploy infrastructure in some other sub-Saharan African countries. So you can have seen the scale up, and you have seen also in terms of financing how private capital is coming into the sector. I spoke about the FCMB, the IFC. We have discussion with Fidelity Bank also for additional financing.
My apologies, Mr. Aliyu. That question was predicated on the World Bank report that tagged the Energy Progress Report of 2025, which says that for the third consecutive edition of the report, Nigeria had the largest electricity access deficits in sub-Saharan Africa, with 86.8 million people, according to the World Bank. Do you agree with that report? Of course, there are some other people who have said it's true, some said it's not true. What is your own assessment of that report, and how did your agency receive it?
Yeah, so we agree that Nigeria has the highest number of people without access. The exact number is something that is debatable. And the reason is because of the population of the country. That is a fact. But in terms of saying that that total number, we have been saying that we need to rebase the power sector, more especially to know the quantity of electricity that we are injecting into the renewable space of the country. So I give you, for example, the recently IRENA, which is one of the basis data agency that provided some data, which the likes of World Bank leverage on, said that the total renewable energy capacity of Nigeria is just 70 megawatts, and that is far lower than what we have deployed. The university project alone, we have deployed close to 100 megawatts. The total Nigeria Electrification project, we also have deployed close to 100 megawatts. the additional projects that we are looking at, which we have started, Energizing Education Phase 3 and Phase 4 will give you additional 100 megawatts. So already there we have like 300 megawatts compared to the 70 megawatts that has been provided. So this is something that is there. We feel that we need to engage somebody to do the rebasing, do the rooftop calculation, plus the capacity of our mini grid for us to really know the actual people that are without access. But for our estimate based on the Nigeria Electrification project, we have electrified over 8 million Nigerians and connected over 1.2 million houses. That may not have been even factored in the estimate provided by the World Bank.
Just one quick one, Mr. Aliyu. What's your assessment of how much power does Nigeria need? How many of these megawatts do you think Nigeria needs to generate, and where are we as far as you are concerned? And how long might it take us to get to where we should be?
Well, because I may not be able to say that because, you know, my purview, I only operate within the off-grid. We only look at the areas that are without access. But for our estimate for those without access, based on the National Electrification Strategy and Implementation Plan that we have done, we are looking at deploying close to 20 gigawatts to illuminate these areas, not only to illuminate them, but to also catalyze small, medium, and micro enterprises in these communities. But for the on-grid, I don't have the data. We don't operate on the on-grid. So this is most likely the data to be provided by the regulator or the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading Company.
Just a very quick one as we wrap up now. Do you think that Nigeria could become a model in West Africa, or maybe Africa, for what it is that we're doing with regards to rural electrification?
Oh, already we are a model. I've been saying that, and this should be on record, that Nigeria will be the renewable hub of West Africa. If not even the West Africa, but for the entire Africa. We already are seeing that this total number of people without the access, we are, rather than seeing it as a challenge, we are seeing it as a market. One. Two, we are catalyzing local production. 600 megawatt already being catalyzed, about 2.5 gigawatts in the development process. We have seen how we are churning technical skill and competencies that would use this financing and deploy this infrastructure. We have also catalyzed an ecosystem, a renewable energy service company, RESCOS, that are deploying infrastructure, attracting private sector financing, and even going out of the country and deploying this. Go to Liberia, go to Sierra Leone, you will see Nigerian renewable service company deploying infrastructure in these areas. We have seen that, and you will see that from 1 megawatt that we are deploying now, we have done 12 megawatts, we are doing 13 megawatts, we are targeting 20 megawatts. So we keep on scaling. We have really mastered the art of deploying renewable energy infrastructure, building talent, attracting financing, and definitely Nigeria will be the renewable hub of Africa.
Were you involved in the President's renewable program for 10 billion naira? I think the Aso Villa now, we understand, is on renewable energy.
Yes.
Was the REA involved in that?
No, REA is not involved in that.
Okay, just wanted to clarify. Well, we have to thank you very much for coming on the program this morning. Mr. Abba Aliyu is the Managing Director, Rural Electrification Agency. Perhaps the name should be changed to Renewable Electrification Agency, but we'll see how that eventually happens. We have to thank him once more. That's where we wrap up the program this beautiful Monday morning. Who can believe it's Monday? Well, it's time to get to work, and we wish you a most productive week. I'm Maupe Ogunyusef.
Also keep your eyes on the ball, because the clock is ticking. I'm Aliyu. Enjoy the rest of your week.